The Amish have lived through every blackout, every shortage, every hard winter you can name, and most of them never even noticed. No refrigerator, no freezer, nobody running to the store. And I'll tell you, their pantries are fuller than yours, and mine put together. I've spent better than 20 years living and teaching out of the Appalachian backcountry, where the power goes out every winter. And the more I dug into the old ways, the Amish, the pioneers, my own grandparents, the more one thing kept staring me in the face. We didn't get smarter about food. We got more dependent. We traded knowledge for convenience. And convenience runs on electricity. So here's what I'm going to do today. I'll walk you through 10 foods the Amish and the old-timers have been putting up for generations. No fridge, no freezer, no factory. For every one, I'll show you how they keep it without power, why it works, and the store-bought version you can grab this week if you don't feel like doing it the hard way. Now, before you click off thinking this is just for some fellow with 40 acres, hang with me a second. If money's tight, listen close because this is the cheapest, most proven food storage on earth. Dirt cheap staples that fed whole families straight through the Depression. And if you're sitting there comfortable, full pantry, figuring you're covered, ask yourself one honest question. How much of what's in your kitchen right now needs to stay cold? Because the day the power quits, that fridge turns into a box of rotting food and a smell you won't soon forget. The Amish don't have that problem, and by the time we're done here, neither will you. Being ready isn't about being scared. It's about not getting caught flat-footed. The folks who quietly prepare are the ones who stay calm while everybody else loses their heads. All right, here we go. Number 1. Home canned meat. This is the one that stops folks cold. Meat. The Amish pressure can their beef, chicken, pork, and venison the same week they butcher. The jar seals up airtight. The heat kills off everything that spoils food, and that meat just waits on you. They'll crack open a jar that's 2, maybe 3 years old, and set it out for Sunday dinner. Why's it work? Spoilage needs air and it needs microbes. Pressure canning gets that jar hot enough to wipe out both. Then the seal locks the world out. Don't want to can your own? The store version is canned chicken, roast beef, and ham. Stack 'em in a cool, dark cupboard. Protein stored with zero electricity. Number 2. Lard. Now I know. Second I say lard, half of you just winced. But hear me out. Lard was the cooking fat that built this country, and it stores like an absolute champion. Rendered pork fat, kept in a crock or a sealed tin somewhere cool, holds good for a year or better with no refrigeration whatsoever. The Amish render it right after butchering, and use it for frying, baking, near everything. Reason it works is pure fat's got almost no water and no protein in it, so there's next to nothing for bacteria to feed on. Store version's a tub of shelf-stable lard from the baking aisle, or shortening, which holds even longer. And fat is calories. In a real emergency, a body fighting cold and stress needs energy, and a spoonful of fat carries more of it than just about anything on a shelf. Number 3. Dried corn. The pioneers and the Amish both leaned hard on it. Let it dry right there on the cob, shell it off, put the hard kernels in a sealed container. Dry corn's about as close to immortal as food gets. We've turned up corn in storage still good decades on. Grind it into cornmeal, soak it for hominy, or just boil it whole. What makes it last is moisture, or the lack of any. Bugs and mold both need water. So take the water out, seal off the humidity, and there's nothing left to rot. Store version's a bag of dried corn, cornmeal or popcorn. Buy it in bulk, seal it in food-grade buckets with the oxygen pulled out, and you've got the backbone of 1,000 meals. Number 4. Home-canned vegetables. Step into an Amish cellar, and you'll see rows of glass jars catching the light. Green beans, tomatoes, beets, carrots. Put up straight from the summer garden so all that August abundance still feeds the family. Come February. Canning heats the food, drives the air out, and seals it up tight, so nothing can sneak in to spoil it. Honestly, the store version here is the easiest swap on this whole list. A pallet of canned green beans, corn, carrots, and tomatoes is real food security you can buy today for pocket change. A can. Number 5. Root cellar crops. This might be the most overlooked trick the old-timers ever had, and it costs you nothing. Potatoes, carrots, beets, turnips, onions, cabbage, winter squash. All of it keeps for months with no processing at all. Long as you store it cold, dark, and a little humid. Cold slows everything down. Down in the earth, the temperature sits steady. Upper 30s to upper 40s, no matter what the weather's doing up top. And that puts the vegetables to sleep. No cellar? Store versions in unheated basement or a corner of the garage. Buy storage potatoes and hard squash come fall. Tuck 'em somewhere cold and dark, and they'll feed you deep into winter for free. Number 6. Dried beans. If I could only stockpile one food off this whole list, it might just be this one. Beans are cheap, loaded with protein, and stored right, they'll outlast however long you keep needing them. The Amish grow and dry them by the bushel. A pot of beans and a pan of cornbread has carried more families through hard times than any fancy survival kit ever put together. They keep because, like the corn, they're dry. No water, no spoilage, so long as you seal them off from humidity and pests. Store versions bags of pinto, black, navy, and kidney beans. From any grocery store, few dollars a piece. Pair 'em with rice and you've got a complete protein. One of the cheapest, surest ways on earth to keep a family fed when nothing's coming in. Number 7. Honey. Honey's about the closest thing to a forever food that exists. Sealed in a jar, kept dry, real honey never spoils. They've dug honey out of ancient tombs that was still good to eat. The Amish keep bees and pull honey for sweetener, for energy, and for how well it keeps. It's got hardly any water in it, and it's naturally acidic, so bacteria just can't live in the stuff. If it crystallizes up hard in the jar, set it in some warm water and it goes right back to liquid. Store versions any jar of real honey. Just make sure it's pure and not some syrup blend. Quick energy, soothes a sore throat, and lasts basically forever. Number 8. Hard cheese in wax. Here's an old-world trick most folks have plain forgotten. You can store hard cheese for months, even years, with no refrigerator, by sealing it up in wax. The Amish and the old European farmers dipped their wheels of hard cheese in melted wax to lock out air and mold, then hung them down in the cellar. Hard, aged cheeses are low on moisture to start with, and that wax coat seals off the air and the spores that spoil it. The cheese actually keeps aging and building flavor in there. Store versions wax-coated cheese, rounds you can already buy, or hard cheeses like cheddar and Parmesan, you seal yourself with cheese wax. Real dairy, real fat, real protein, sitting on a shelf. Number 9. Smoked and cured meat. Long before anybody had a freezer, this is how people kept meat through the year. Smoking and salt curing pull the moisture out and lay in preservatives that bacteria can't stand. So the meat holds for months hung up in a cool, dry place. The Amish still run their smokehouses. Hams, bacon, sausage, all of it preserved the old way, and hung from the rafters. Take away the moisture, you take away the spoilage. Store versions are right there on the shelf. Hard salami, summer sausage, jerky, country ham, pepperoni. Shelf-stable, high-protein, high-calorie, and it actually tastes good, which matters when morale's in the dirt. Number 10. Sourdough and wheat berries. The Amish bake their own bread, and the secret to bread that doesn't need a store comes down to two things: whole wheat berries and a sourdough starter. Wheat berries are just the whole, unground kernel of wheat, and stored dry they'll outlast about everything else in this video. The starter's a living culture of wild yeast that lets you bake real, risen bread with no packaged yeast at all, forever, long as you keep feeding it. You're storing the wheat in its steadiest form and only grinding it to flour when you're fixing to bake. Whole flour goes stale fast. Wheat berries don't. Store versions a bucket of hard wheat berries and a hand grain mill, plus a jar of sourdough starter you grow up from nothing but flour and water on your own counter. That's the difference between having flour and being able to make bread the rest of your life. And here's your bonus. The easiest, cheapest win of the whole bunch. Apple butter, and the whole world of preserves. The Amish take that fall apple harvest and cook it down slow into thick, dark apple butter, then can it in jars that keep a year or better on the shelf. Jams, jellies, fruit butters, all of it runs the same way. The sugar and the acid working as natural preservatives, the canning sealing it shut. This is the easiest win, because it's the morale food. When you're cold, worn out, run down to nothing, a spoonful of something sweet on a piece of bread does something for the spirit that plain survival rations never will. Store versions any jar of preserves. Cheap, shelf-stable, and it makes the hard days easier to swallow. So let's bring it home. 10 foods, plus a bonus, that the Amish and the old-timers have been stockpiling for generations with no fridge, no freezer, no factory behind any of it. Home-canned meat, lard, dried corn, home-canned vegetables, root-cellar crops, dried beans, honey, wax-sealed cheese, cured and smoked meat, sourdough and wheat berries, and apple butter to keep the spirit up. Now notice what every one of them has in common. Take out the water, seal out the air, keep it cool and dark. That's the whole secret the old ways understood, and the same one a fridge made us forget. You don't need power to eat well through a hard season. You need knowledge, a few cheap staples, and a cool dark corner. Being ready isn't about fear. It's about not getting caught flat-footed. The folks who quietly prepare are the ones who keep their heads while everybody else is coming apart. The Amish aren't losing sleep over the next shortage or the next blackout because they've been living the answer for 200 years. You and me, we can borrow that wisdom starting this week. Pick one food off this list. Just one. Get it on your shelf. Then pick another. That's the whole game right there. A little more ready than you were yesterday. If this helped you out, do one thing for me. Send it to one person you'd want beside you, making it through a crisis. That's how the old knowledge stays alive. It gets passed hand to hand. Then go ahead and subscribe, because next time I'm breaking down the foods that vanish off the shelves first when a crisis hits. And trust me, you'll want to know those before everybody else figures it out. Take care of your people. I'll see you on the next one.